Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. I was asked a question about dare to, so what would you dare to do? And I think for me, I've always just dared to use all of my gifts, no matter how big or small, whether that's, acting or, being a biochemist or now going into film. I've just kind of never been afraid to switch lanes and do things a little bit differently, fueled by my passion for kind of telling stories and finding the truth in all situations, in the sense of what is at the heart of the matter, in your work and in your personal life. So I'll start at the beginning, because that's always a good place to start. So who am I? I'm Clare. I'm 32. I was born in July the 7th. And I'm one of 5 children living in Islington. And my parents came over here as Nigerian immigrants, or expats, I guess. My dad came here to work for Ford as a mechanic, and my mum was a chef. And we grew up on an estate, and I discovered very quickly that I was a fussy eater. I was somebody that was always getting sick and losing my voice, and always had, a bit of a midriff, and always felt a little bit like the annoying child. And that was because I have allergies to wheat, dairy, gluten, and yeast. And so that pretty much wiped out all the food that I could eat as a kid, and in many ways does today. And that kind of shaped, you'll hear a bit about how that kind of shaped my journey into business. So on my first day of school, I'll take it back a little bit. Basically, my dad suffered with diabetes, and so I was quite conscious of health from a young age, having allergies. My dad was suffering with diabetes, so he would faint a lot, and unfortunately he passed away when I was 9. And my mum, raising 5 children in a new country, she struggled, because back in Nigeria, when someone dies, or the man in the family dies, the whole village looks after the children. So in England, we just don't have that culture here. And to be frank, we were one of 4 black families living on an estate in Islington. So at that time, there was quite a bit of racial tension. And my first day of secondary school, I remember hearing my name on the tannoy. And I thought to myself, my God, I've only been here for a day. I can't be in trouble already. And I was kind of ushered into my head teacher's office and told that me and my sisters were going into care. I was kind of like, whoa, this is a really awful, bad, first day of secondary school. The upside of that was that next door to us was the iconic singer Sade, who my dad had introduced me to as a child. So I knew all of her music, even though I probably shouldn't have, and Smooth Operator used to play on the radio all the time. And so I've got this situation where I'm in a really negative moment in my life, but actually the upside is that next door I'm getting to say hello to Sade. I think across the road from us, Denise Van Outen lived there, and JK, this is in Highbury. So this is where all the celebs lived in the 90s. So I was quite fortunate, and subsequently love her music, and I kind of model her in the way of being timeless and making sure that you put out the best work possible. So kind of navigating secondary school, became quite angry and despondent, but was always gifted and talented. So I'd be the kid that would get thrown out of the classroom but still get A stars, and people would be like, but Claire, you're outside. I was like, I know, but I find the work easy. I'm not having a great time at my home life. And I had the benefit of 2 best friends. So I had Jasmine Walcott and Grace Ladoja, who's now the manager for grime artist Skepta, and she's doing some fantastic things in music. But we formed a rap group, and we were called Exit, XIT, lose the E. And we used to just graffiti our science books and our maths books with all of our lyrics. And our teachers were really encouraging, because they were like, guys, you're so good at English. We actually wrote a poem that got into an anthology, and we just discovered that was something that we really enjoyed. And then we went to college together. Me and Grace went to uni together. We went to Brunel to study film. she reconnected with her estranged dad and was fortunate enough to go to a private film school. I carried on at Brunel and finished my BA in drama, film and TV. So I was acting and behind the camera. And I just, like I said, I love telling stories. So that for me was a real triumph. And I felt, if I'm going to study at uni, I'm going to do something that I love, because most of my teachers were saying, Claire, you're really smart, maybe you should do business, economics. And I was like, I can be really smart and do drama and film, and find a way to maybe make a business out of that at some stage. So I was studying film, and then I was working as a makeup artist in the weekend. So I was at the flagship store for the Body Shop, back in the day when it turned over its first £1 million. And I remember thinking, wow, Anita's so inspiring. She'd come in, teach us how to make perfume from scratch. So I know how to make like Chanel perfumes and Thierry Mugler, Angel and things like that from scratch. And I'm a sponge, so anything I kind of learn, I will remember it forever. And this really inspired this sort of recipes that I was cooking up and making up in my kitchen. Doing lots of artistry as well, and just creating art really with friends, and getting commissioned by magazines. So back in the day when ID was first out, and yeah, just using inspiration from nature. And I guess because of my diet, I was always kind of conscious about what I was putting on my skin and in my skin. And so basically I had like this light bulb moment. I remember I moved from the Body Shop, I went to Bobbi Brown. And I really started to get affected by my self-esteem, in the sense of thinking, I'm kind of losing out on a bit of commission, because, you know, when you're not kind of looking your best in beauty, people will kind of go, oh, I don't know if I want you to do my skin if your skin's not looking its best. So I thought, okay, I'm really going to have to make a drastic change. And this was 2002-03. So we're at the time so we go into Holland and Barrett's, and there was like, you know, rice crackers was the gluten-free vegan section. Obviously now lots of work has gone into making sure that there's more varieties. But the truth is, you know, 1 in 5 adults do have allergies, and 1 in 8 children will suffer with eczema or some sort of skin issue. So in that moment I was feeling like I wasn't alone, but how could I really turn something that was a negative into a positive? And so following on from my kind of days at the Body Shop, I was there on and off over 6 years, thinking about leaving Bobbi Brown because I had a good kind of freelance portfolio growing, because I was doing quite a lot of actors and music videos and short film makeup. And I launched Pre-May December the 1st. Pre-May is the culmination of 2 words, premium and formulae, and it became the world's first allergen-friendly certified beauty brand. And within 40 days, I'd got the product into the hands of a journalist who suffered with psoriasis. And she put the product up for an award, and we won. And after that, it almost worked out that we were winning an award every 4 months. And I was just really astounded by that, because this was product that I was cooking up in my kitchen. I've got no formal knowledge of science, but obviously a natural intuition. So what I did is I actually did it backwards. I made the formulations and then got the qualifications after. So I got qualified as an allergy practitioner, and then I applied for an honorary doctorate, and I was awarded that by Trinity. And at that time, there was lots of questions, because people were saying to me, well, Claire, your products are so successful, you've won loads of awards, how comes we can't find you in the high street? And the stark truth of it started to make me ask and be asked these questions, that how many black-owned beauty brands can you name? If I was to ask you now, you probably think, maybe Iman? That might be it. And then you say, okay, so how many black-owned British beauty brands? Because that's an American brand. And then how many black-owned British beauty brands can you name that are created by a qualified allergist who administers alkaline fruits and vegetables instead of drugs and steroids? I had a clinic at Harley Street, and people used to be like, what are you doing in there? You know, like everyone in here is practicing like plastic surgery and all the kind of synthetic stuff, and you're in there, and these people are coming out with wonderful results. We're just kind of astounded that you even care to do this. And I guess it's about that personal story. If I hadn't have grown up with allergies and was always looking for alternatives, I never would have created Pre-May. So it was the brand that I was kind of searching for. To this day, we've won 17 awards and counting, been featured in over 50 magazines, but no department store would stock it. And I laugh at that and say, is it because I is black? I don't know. I don't know. I believe that it's because it's such a challenger brand that what happens is if you have a brand like Prime in there, then we say, so what's Clinique about? And what's all these, so strategically for business, you have to think about it and say, okay, I'll do something different. So I repositioned the brand, made it more luxury, and was really, really chuffed when I emailed, well, I'll come back to that. I emailed Amazon Luxury, and within 15 minutes they took the brand and they stocked us, and we did some great business with them. But I'll go backwards, because say hello to Nina Fredericks. Nina Fredericks is not a real person. I went onto Google and I downloaded an image of a random blonde chick, and I created a profile on LinkedIn. And I emailed all of the buyers and people that I was trying to get Prime onto. And when I emailed them as me, they never wanted to have a meeting. But when I emailed them as Nina with exactly the same products, my brand, they said, yeah, come in, Nina, we'd love to see you. So what I would do, the day before the meeting, I would say, oh my God, I've got to go to France because we're launching the product in France, but I'm going to send Clare in. Oh, no, we really want to see you. Claire's great, she knows the brand, obviously, she created the product, she'll be fine. So I turn up, and I remember vividly, I turned up to a TV station to do some business, and so Claire, so tell us how long you've been working at the brand. And I said, well, I started crushing the mango butter back in 2009 actually, so I guess the beginning. And the faces go red, and it's apologies, but then we go into, so hang on a minute, what do you know? And it's like, well, I created the product, so I guess I know quite a lot. But there is this sort of interrogation that comes sometimes, and I think for all of us in this room, we have to be mindful. I remember somebody said to me something that was amazing, or I heard another woman of colour in business, very successful, saying to me, as a woman, we already got a minus next to our names, and then we've got being a black woman is another negative or a minus. But if you put two minuses together, you get a neutral, you get a zero. So at least you're starting from a neutral playing field, and it's about how you use your gifts to navigate that and turn that around. Subsequently, this particular meeting, the buyer's brother had eczema, so she said, Claire, I need this product for my brother anyway, so I'm going to buy some for him, and if it helps, then we'll take it in. Her brother loved it, we did some business, and I was on that TV channel selling the product. But it's a shame, isn't it, that in the 21st century, some of us are having to do stuff like this. What have we done here? Here we go. So that's just a bit about allergies. There's only 177 allergists in the world. That's insane. But there's actually 7 million people in the UK alone, and 50 million in the US, who are suffering from lifelong allergies. So there's clearly not enough of us, and therefore that's why I was quite in demand. But I refuse to administer drugs. I don't believe in any drug for any reason. And I believe that there's always a natural alternative, and that what we eat, it's that cliche, we are what we eat. I think that everything can be solved, most things, majority of things, with good food, good rest, and our interactions with each other. So I remember I'm always busy, I guess, so I hadn't answered the phone for a little while, and I'd moved from Whiteley's to Harley Street. So I was at Whiteley's, I had a flagship store there, then I kind of downsized but upgraded to Harley Street in August of 2015. And I remember the cabinet called me, and I thought, oh my God, what? Have I not filed my taxes properly? What's going on? I'm going to be in trouble. And they said, look, Claire, we've been trying to get in touch with you. You've got 1 hour to tell us whether you're happy to accept. People of colour don't always want to accept because of Britain's involvement in slavery and the colonial issues. Would you like to accept your British Empire Medal? And I said, oh my God. Yes, of course. I'd already said if I was ever honoured, I would take it, because actually it's an acknowledgement of hard work. It's been really, really hard, in the sense of making 30,000 products by hand hard, you know, in my flat with 5 mates, labelling, crushing products, bottling, because if you don't have a factory, you've got to do it, but you've got the orders coming in, but you've got nowhere to make it. So my little studio flat in King's Cross has been my factory for 5 years. And I was really proud of that. And the first black woman in Britain to be honoured in that category was really awesome. Subsequently, someone in America heard about it and honoured me as well with the female role model later on that year in this thing called Black Girls Rocks, where they honour people like Rihanna and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God. So some of my milestones, lots of different things there, and some of it I've covered. But then at the same time, so I guess at the same time that I had my store in Whiteley's, I was on the radio being interviewed, and they kept on mentioning this film festival called BUFF. And I thought, what is BUFF? The British Urban Film Festival. And I thought, oh, okay, sounds cool. I've not ever heard of it, but I'm sure probably my actor mates know about it. Anyway, this guy starts tweeting me in my native language. He's the founder of BUFF, saying, you know, we should do BUFF pre-made cosmetics. And I was like, I don't think the two brands go well together. My brand's luxury, but we can talk about it. So call me. So the 0800 number comes through to my phone. 20 minutes after getting off air, he calls, and I'm like, oh, hi. I was kind of expecting you to call like in the week, but yeah, let's do it. Let's talk. He invites me to dinner, and we've been together ever since. And now that guy is my husband. He sits over there. Using my kind of marketing nous of what I've achieved with Prime, created a new brand called Clare PR, which is a small little boutique PR company. I'm Claire, my baby sister is Jo. She did a degree in PR, advertising and marketing, couldn't find a job. So I said, look, I'm going to create a business. You run it. She's never run it. I'm always running it. She's now teaching children with special education needs. That's her passion, her vocation. But we've been helping other startup companies get their brands out there, and some well-known brands like NutriBullet and radio stations and all kinds of people. And I just really love working with people around branding and sponsorship, and collaboration is queen. I really believe in that if we want to grow as businesses and grow in our fields, that we have to share knowledge and be really open to that. And then this time last year, well, not even this time last year, like September, October, I've got this kind of, I don't know what it is, I guess it's an intuition, a sort of sixth sense. But I said to myself, I remember when I left the film industry, as in like a jobbing actor whilst I was in the throes of building Prime, I said to myself that I'm going to come back in 2018. I don't know why that number, that year meant something to me. I remember having a dream before I met Emmanuel, maybe about a month before. And in that dream, I could see my name in the credits of a film, and my surname was double-barreled, and it was a name I couldn't pronounce. And Anyiam-Osigwe is such a strange name. And my little Iluka, you know, it's like 5 letters, my mum's, well, my dad's name. So anyway, I was having a chat with a mate on my way to a vegan restaurant that I love, and she was telling me about a guy that we both know. I went to university with him, she knows him more recently, and basically he split up with his girlfriend, and his fiance, sorry, and he said to her, you know, you're the type of girl that's good for this, and these type of women are good for that. And in our culture, this is a thing called colorism, where you have people within the black community saying that lighter or fairer skinned women are more attractive, more beautiful than darker skinned women. And she's a dark skinned woman, I guess, but what is dark skin and what is light skin? And so anyway, I don't know why, but I said, okay, I'm going to delete my WhatsApp and Instagram. Those are the 2 apps that I think I spend way too much time on. and I'm going to just write a script. I'm just going to, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I can write. I've not done this forever. I wrote a short film, invited my actor mates to a library, and we read it. And they were like, whoa, this is way too important to be a short film. Go away and make this into a feature. Like, we really need to dig into the people and the characters. And so literally I wrote the feature film a month later, got a whole new cast and more extra actors to read it. We shot the film I'm rushing. I said to myself on Boxing Day, I woke up and said to Emmanuel, I'm going to close pre-May. I'm going to close pre-May. The time is now. I'm going to go back into being a filmmaker. It's my first love. I've achieved what I feel I need to achieve. The industry is wonderful now with regards to vegan skincare and makeup and food and nourishment, supplements, because we had all of these little things in the brand as well. I'm going to put all of my assets into creating a new division within your brand. So he's Buff, British Urban Film Festival, so it's the Buff original, so us creating original content, and the first thing out the gate is going to be this film. Now, the title of the first short film script was called Dick and Diamonds, but I thought this is going to be a product that I'm going to sell, because with short films you typically don't sell them. They're kind of a showcase of your work. But if I'm going to make this a commercial venture, it needs to have a bit more of a commercial name. So No Shade became the kind of line in the film, in the script, that became the most poignant line, where the character of Eddie says no shade is superior. It's all about character, vibes and understanding. So I called the film No Shade. And like I said, we shot it in 6 days. In January, I was living in my puffer jacket on the roads. We were doing 18-hour shifts, tired, I was feeding everyone pizzas and patties and drinking way too much wine, because quite a lot of the scenes involve drinking and this sort of thing. So there's the film poster. What's next? So we do the premiere June the 5th. I'm going to Cannes next month to look for distribution. We've had 3 people reach out, 3 companies reach out already. And the log line is, it's told through the prism of love, relationships, dating and marriage. No Shade provides a raw perspective on the issue of colorism and what happens when looking for love in the right place goes wrong. Marketing coverage has just exploded. I remember I put the press release out on the 28th of February. Do you remember that day when it snowed and no one could do nothing? Oh my God, it was so good for me, because everyone had to there's nothing on in the news but there's no shade. Oh my God, the BBC put me in a cab at the dead of night. It was like 12 a.m. and then I was on again at 7. And it was BBC World, so 25 million people heard me talking about this film. And again, it's wonderful that most of you will never have understood or even heard the term of colorism or shadism. Now, when you're, women of color, men of color in your organizations might be whispering about it or talking about it. I know. Claire told me, and her film's coming out, so I'm going to get to know if I don't know, but I'm aware of. It's so important. It's a world issue, because actually it gives birth to another word which may be new to you, which is misogynoir, which is about the mistreatment of black women. And it's so sad, obviously, when this is happening within your own culture, because the whole rhetoric has always been, the white man's doing this, doing that. But actually, what about you doing this to yourself? We really need to address these things that are holding us back, because in my mind, it's one race. It's that everybody is. We're as a human race, we're so varied. So how can we, if I was to ask a few of you in here, you'd probably be like, okay, my mum's from this place, my dad's from this place. Nobody is just one race most of the time in this day and age. So we need to embrace that diversity, because it's good for everybody and it's good for every industry. So anyway, this is some of the press that Joe Clare PR has been getting. There's a global reach for this, and it just gives you kind of a visual representation about human skin color and distribution. My mission is to express to people, all the genders, communities and race, about colorism and how harmful it can be when that we need to readdress the balance. The film will leave black women in particular with a sense of hope and will challenge or inspire black men to acknowledge the harmful effects of denigration of darker-skinned women. I was on the radio again. I've been on the BBC, on all different radio stations every week. I can't complain. I'm very blessed to be in that situation. But I was on with another woman of colour, another black girl, and she said to me, Claire, but Claire, you're not even dark enough to tell this story. And the Islington Council estate chick in me was like, ugh. I'm just going to just say nothing now for the rest of the afternoon. But, you know, this is it. There's the level of, you know, just flippant, just came out of her mouth. So it's just that essence of not walking around on eggshells, because I think we are in a situation where it's too politically driven and we're all worried about saying the wrong thing. But I think you're never going to go wrong if you come at everyone with a level of love and respect. You just wouldn't even touch on certain things if you treat people, you know, as equals, you know, and that's what we want from the men in our communities and in our workplaces. So why wouldn't we do that to each other as a first point of call? Release strategy. So in a couple of weeks I'm going to Cannes, and then I said I'm doing the festival premiere at the Rio, and then I've got some encore screenings. We've been approached to take on 110 cinemas, which is insane. And then we're doing a screening in the Netherlands and in York, and there's some other festivals that have reached out to us from America. It's socially relevant. I don't know if any of you have been aware over the weekend, but our dear friend Maya Jama, who is the girlfriend of Stormzy, they've dug up some old tweets. It's all about this. So I was on the radio on Monday, and I was asked, do I want her to lose her job? And I said, no. Who wants her to lose her job? We need to have a lovely situation like what we've got here tonight, where we're drinking some Prosecco, some water, whatever your beverage of choice is, and just saying, look, how can we do better? So, Pete, you know, when you introduced me earlier and you were saying that, going from being an undergrad in film to then going into the beauty industry, you used to rap as a kid, you grew up in Clare, now you're doing a film about colorism. For me, it's just creativity and it's just producing. I love producing stuff. I love seeing something that was just a couple of words written on the page become a production, something that is a gift to other people, leaving a mark, leaving a legacy, doing something that is bigger than me and is talked about long after I'm not around to hear about it. And I think if there's any of you that are not quite sure, because I'm always a bit nervous because I'm never quite sure, and I'm a busybody and I commit to things. I see them through though. And then I'll be like, okay, I'm good with the filmmaking. Now I want to be the Minister of Health for Africa. And I'm going to make sure everyone gets free condoms and vaccinations. And that will be my thing maybe when I'm 40. I'm ready to have like 6 or 7 careers in this one life. I don't think you could box somebody like me in. We're past the age and stage in society of the 40-year career with the gold watch at the end. If you want to try something different, I'm just here to say today, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Talk to people in your family. If you're, not a parent yet and you've got that level of flexibility, and even if you are a parent and you've got a good network of support, start to think about what are those gifts and skills or, exciting things that you would just do it for free because you love it anyway. Those are the things that we could try and embed into organisations like this. And I'm sure that's why Richard started, Virgin Media or whatever, because it was something just bubbling in him that he needed to do, And us as women, we go, the first thing we say is, I'm not qualified enough, I need to get a master's now. Who's got time? I didn't have time for the doctorate to sit down for 2 years. So I applied and I sent them my business plan and they said, you know what you're talking about, we're happy to sign that off. And I thought, great, I've saved 10 grand in 2 years, So if anyone's got any questions, I'm going to wrap up from there. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Clare Anyiam-Osigwe, and thank you.